It's the afternoon of Sunday, October 11th, and we are opened up a new field of soybeans and are running a few here. These are 3.9 maturity, so longer season for us. Not quite as dry as what we were running last week, although they have come down here since we started a couple hours ago a little bit, maybe a point or so. We're showing a little over 10% on the monitor right now, but they are combined pretty nice. They seem to be holding together a little bit better than the ones last week, so I think we're knocking a little bit less out with the reel. And Dad sort of made some adjustments with a few things, I guess, on the head. He ran a little bit yesterday without me, and in combination at least, it seems to have helped, or the variety is enough different that they're running nice. But he kind of tweaked the clocking, so basically like how the reel behaves, where the tines pull in and where they pop back out from the auger, and then also ground the edges of the flighting to get a sharper edge or a squarer edge, so that the auger in the head will grab the soybeans a little bit better and get them pulled to the middle instead of just bouncing off the auger. And then he also adjusted some stuff with the wobble box on the left end, which I had intended to check after we put that new skid plate on, and then we started running right away and it sort of didn't happen. So anyway, things seem to be going relatively well. This particular bean seems a little bit variable. You get spots like this where they're like pretty tangly, and then also spots where they're super short. Seems like maybe they don't like real wet areas, but not very consistent. Like some terraces will be super short and some aren't. I'm gonna clean up a few beans that I missed on the last pass here, so I'm gonna maybe use both hands for that. Combine's in the shop, shed door going down with a kind of nice sunset in the background. We got that little patch finished. It was only like 24 point something acres, I believe. So it's all on wheels. Elevator closed at 5, so we didn't get a load in that was combined today. But the truck's full and there's some on the grain cart. It's supposed to rain tonight. 80% chance, quarter to half inch, I believe. And probably that means if we combine tomorrow, it's going to be late in the day. But got plenty of things to work on. For one, the grain saver, which is basically a spring-loaded cup, sort of. That basically, when you have the unloading auger on, it flips down, and when you turn it off, it comes up so that grain doesn't dribble out as you're going across the field. And the hinge part of it is broken. It kind of works, but it leaks, so probably going to try to work on that. I've got the bearing to put in the fan, dust diverter fan on the feeder house, which is back behind that and inside the fan blades. The fan blades are this part, and then the bearing is behind it. Dad said he had replaced these once, or was pretty sure he had, and it wasn't necessarily a fun job. So don't know if I'm going to tear into that tonight. Got the grain spreader debacle to work on, so probably even if we don't run tomorrow, I've got a few things to keep me busy. It's Monday morning, October 12th, and we had a high chance of rain last night. Not sure it even sprinkled. There was some dew, so I don't know that we're going to be running real early today, but not going to have a day off to fix stuff, I don't think. So we're going to get the combine blown off and get it ready to go and see what transpires. It seems like the dew on the shed roofs has dried off quite a bit in the last 45 minutes or so, so we might be going mid to late morning, I would guess. Dad took the truck to town with the full load that we combined yesterday. Still got some on the grain cart. It cooled off with the front that came through last night, so I need to find my sweatshirt. Not sure what tractor I left it in, but hopefully one of them. Found it. It was in the pickup. My other minor dilemma is that I wasn't planning on Dad running Saturday on his own. Wasn't really planning on running yesterday, and thought it was going to rain, so I wasn't going to have to run today. So because of that, I have fuel lined up to come hopefully today sometime, but we've got about a half a tank on the combine and the barrel's dry. So hopefully that doesn't become a dramatic process later this afternoon. It's about 11:30 and I'm headed for the field. Probably could have started a little bit ago, but we're messing around with getting air brake chamber changed on the semi. Basically what actuates the brake seemed to be leaking a little bit, and although there's a few things that I would like to have worked on the combine, the safety stuff is kind of the more important, so that is one of the safety things. Probably wasn't leaking bad enough to be a safety problem at this point, but it was leaking audibly when you were applying the brakes, so DOT would not have liked that if they stopped us. And we never know when or if it would have totally failed. So got that fixed. Dad's running a couple errands and then going to take the truck to town. Got the grain cart moved over to the field here a minute ago, and I'm headed that way with the combine. Hopefully we're going to have a productive day and a productive week. The forecast looks very clear at this point, since we basically missed the rain or barely got a sprinkle, it looks like, for our fields out of the stuff last night. We're probably going to be hitting soybeans hard till we get finished, and then switching right over to corn, and I expect that most of that probably has dried down, probably is in the 16 or less % on the corn moisture, so we'll be able to go straight into the bins without any problem on that stuff, other than I still need to screw with that gravity spreader. Try to get some action footage today if I can. Happy trails. Well, I made it a pass and a half basically on the field here, and was gonna get out and look things over, but I'm having a little bit of trouble with the head pushing stuff. So basically, when you hear me say or refer to the head pushing, at the point we're harvesting, all the leaves have fallen off the soybean plants, so they're just on the ground, and we're running over all of that stuff. So you can see there's a whole bunch of leaves, and like the piece that the stem that the leaf was attached to, and some corn residue from last year, which is dry, nice and dry on top, but there's also some stuff here that's still kind of wet. And the yellow on the bottom of the head is poly, so basically slick plastic that hopefully slides over that stuff really nice. But if it's wet, it'll stick. And I don't know if we maybe caught something here. I think we're just picking that stuff up. So at some point, this head has a Schumacher sickle on it, which Dad has always thought was a lot better than the John Deere stuff on these 200 and 900 series heads. I don't know about the newer ones, but at some point they have changed the guards. So the old guards had a really sharp point, and they started making them more round, which I think is better because you don't spear like corn stalks. Like occasionally you'll either poke into a corn stalk like that, or you can also catch like root balls or stalks. This one's kind of wet and rotten, but occasionally we'll see a root ball, crown of a corn stalk stuck on a point like that, and that's less likely to happen on these rounded points. So you can see there's several of the old guards here, but it seems like this spot is the one that's causing problems. I don't see anything wrong underneath, so I think it might just be conditions, and I may end up twiddling my thumbs for a little bit and waiting for the sun to shine. We'll keep trying it, but I've come up one position on the header control, so I'm cutting a little bit higher, and I normally don't really love to run in that highest position because you have a tendency to not get the lower pods off the plants everywhere. So we'll kind of see what happens. Most of what's left in this field is the same variety, so I doubt if I'm going to have any other spots that I can run that are going to be better. Just have to see how things go. I mean, the sun's shining and there's a pretty good breeze, so conditions should improve, but as you can see, not doing a real great job at the moment. I don't know that I'm running over a lot of stuff, but it seemed like there were a few spots where I was kind of cutting pretty shaggy. I mean, there's nothing here that I missed. Here, a corn from last year that we missed. But clearly you can see, because this is all stirred up, it's catching on that poly on the bottom of the head, or else a guard or something. It was feeding okay as far as I could tell coming across the field, but we shouldn't be doing this. It should look like this, other than those few plants there that I apparently drove white. While we're out here, we might as well kind of check and see how we're doing on stuff. Everything seemed pretty dry, so I'm not too worried about combine settings. There's definitely still some moisture in here. It could have rained a little bit over here that we didn't get at the home base there. There was some water in the rumble strips on the edge of the highway just north of here, about a mile and a half, I guess, from this field. So there might have been a little bit more of a sprinkle here than at the homestead. One thing I've noticed a lot of this year when I look through the stuff back here are these little flakes of soybeans. So basically those are spots in the pods that would have been a soybean if we'd had more moisture probably, but they aborted them or didn't become soybeans because there wasn't enough moisture or nutrients at the right time. So our yields have been pretty okay, not great. Definitely the dry August hurt us. About to cut through my little broadcast cover crop experiment. So if you can see the pink flags up here on the right along the grass there, that's the 4 different passes or whatever that I walked out in the beans with the little broadcast hand spreader. So we're going to run through everything and then get out and see what it looks like a little bit where we've run over it. There should be some more stuff past the pass that we're on. So you can see here is the rape, and there's a lot more green there than anywhere else. I'm curious to see how much of that we cut up and if we hear the cylinder growl, which I don't think we did, so that's good, because that means it didn't really affect the harvesting process. So I've got the hopper just about full anyway, so we're gonna dump. Unloading straight onto the truck. Right up here is where we just combined through. You can see the green just off the front of the head there, or above the reel, where the rapeseed is. I'm guessing that anything that grew on the buckwheat is going to be cut off and gone. And I never really saw any growth on the clover spots, but we'll go take a look at that in a minute. I'm flying solo this afternoon because Dad had an appointment, so basically I'm going to fill everything up and then probably take the truck to town because I doubt he'll be back before I get everything full. But things are moving forward. It looks like we're combining pretty dry beans, but not 8% dry, so that's good. If they do dry down a lot this afternoon, hopefully I'll be sitting in line at the elevator during the driest part of the day. All right, let's go check out our cover crop plot. The other good news is that my fuel delivery came. So I'm pretty okay on the combine right now, but good to know that we at least have diesel in the barrels now to fill stuff back up with. So this is the Rapeseed canola plot. So it looks like we pretty much skidded right over that and have quite a bit of growth left. We'll come back and see what this looks like. I think that these should recover as long as we didn't clip them clear off. So with it being the, what is today, the 12th of October, we potentially should have some pretty good growth on this before things freeze off. So I'm definitely encouraged by the results here, and I'm definitely intrigued to see how things go with this, both for the rest of the fall and then how things work next spring, planting into it, and if we see any difference in the corn growth. But you can see, like, I mean, there's maybe a little bit more leaf tissue on the stuff that we haven't run through yet, but I think, although we probably damaged some plants, I don't think we killed anything. If we go down to the next flag here, that was the buckwheat, which there were at least some that had grown, and I don't know, see, I think that was a buckwheat that like sort of died off, and I'm not sure exactly why, if it was just too dry, that it got germinated and then ran out of moisture that it could get to with its roots. Looks like this was about the path that I walked through, because that's where the beans are kind of run down a little bit. Yeah, I see there's another stem, but nothing on it. So looks like buckwheat was mostly a miserable failure. It's also possible that that might have gotten dinged by the frost a week and a half ago, or whenever that was. It wasn't much of a frost, but I don't know anything about buckwheat really, other than its existence, and it's kind of good for pollinators, I think. This was one of the clover strips, I think red clover if I remember right. It looks like that flag says red as far as I can tell, reading through the pink plastic from a distance. I see nothing growing here. And the white clover was basically the same. It is possible that with a longer germination time or drier weather cycle here lately, that it either hasn't germinated or germinated and ran out of moisture to get going. That is one of the risks of broadcasting versus actually getting the seed into some dirt or down into some moisture in the dirt. But the rapeseed is definitely looking interesting. I have to look back. I shouldn't say exact dates without looking at my records. But I believe these were planted a little over a month ago, and then we had like a 3-inch rain shortly thereafter, and another maybe inch and a half a week or two later than that. That should have helped get things going pretty well. So this may be better results than we would expect to have every year, but it definitely looks interesting currently. We're about to combine through the rapeseed swath again. It's a little bit strange looking down and seeing a carpet of green underneath the soybeans, but it's kind of cool. It's a little easier to see going this way, but I was kind of slow getting the camera started.